Very nice. Okay, the session is being recorded for all of you here. And just one more time, I'm going to post in the chat the link to Sway. Feel free to open that up and follow along with Laura. There are clickable items in there. And then you can see a couple of working examples of Sway as well. Take it away, Laura and Susmita.
And we'd like to start by pointing out that there are still two more, oops, let's do that better. Hang on, go away. That's, there we go, thank you. We'd like to start by pointing out there are two more workshops in this series, including, actually, it looks like it's the same workshop, once in English and once in French.
Yeah, it is.
Explique-moi comme 5 and explique-moi comme si j'ai 5 ans. And the first one's in March 19th, and the second one's on March 26th. So please feel free to sign up for those. And if you would like to, EdTech Ontario, now I'll point that one out as well. Right here is where you would go and sign up for the event. If you want to actually host a seminar or give a seminar, a webinar, there's an opportunity, summer 2019, and go to that same website in order to submit your proposal. And also, do be aware that an advanced learning conference will take place May 15th to 17th this spring at Collège La Cité in Ottawa. And if you go to advancedlearning.ca, you can submit a proposal, and eventually you can sign up for the conference. So maybe we'll see some of you there.
Perfect.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So do you want to share your application and show the world what Sway can do?
All right, let's see what happens here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go show you an application, and then I immediately have to move over into the Sway.
Yeah, that'll be okay. We'll go down a wormhole for just a quick moment. Yeah, nice. Good move.
Okay. So we're using the Sway to show you our Sway. And Susmita and I are going to talk about how we put the Sway together, and Jesslyn is going to talk a little bit about the technology involved and how she provided us with support. We've already got a feel for this, but we're also showing how all the different things you can do with this Sway. So one of the things we're going to show you is that you can build a Mentimeter right into it. Would you be so kind as to go to a Mentimeter? And this is the wrong Mentimeter, sorry.
That's okay. Laura, just open up the interactive presentations tab, the last one there. Nope, just go to your last browser tab right next to Sway This Way.
Got it.
And pull open Sway This Way 2.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. And hit the big blue button, present in the top right corner.
All right, thank you. There's always a plan B, right? So
yes, that's my bad. I put in the wrong link.
That's all right. Go to menti.com and use the code 277927. And all you have to do is type in the institution you're connecting from. Number
7927.
277927. Conestoga, Cambria,
very nice.
Durham knocked us sideways.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll come back in the long run. We'll be fine. Oh, Murdat is also coming from Conestoga, which is nice. Welcome, welcome. All right.
All right.
So we've got a couple. Oh, we got somebody from La Cité. Very nice. A couple more from Conestoga. I saw it change colors and flip around. Looks like that's who we've got kind of coming in, those who can access it. You can also just keep adding your contributions to this Mentimeter.
Yeah, so we've got 5 different colleges represented, so that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So my name is Laura Stoutenburg, and I am a teaching and learning consultant here at Conestoga. I've been at Conestoga for 17 years now. Started as a teaching and learning consultant this summer, and I am in Brantford, Brantford has been one of our campuses for a number of years now, but we recently expanded, and we have domestic and international students. Our international students, most of the international students at Brantford campus are in fact from India. I got the great opportunity to work with an international student this year, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hello everyone, my name is Susmita and I'm from India. At present I'm studying Community and Social Service Management here at Brantford campus. And a little bit about my previous education and work. I have completed Masters in Social Work and worked in a couple of NGOs as a project coordinator and as a documentation officer. Then I decided to study here in Conestoga and landed here in last August 2018. And I started working with Laura from I think 5th October 2018, and it's been more than 6 months that we are working together. And it's great fun to work with Laura, and I enjoy working with Laura. And we are working on our next project on Students' Way, and it's just amazing working here for teaching and learning department in Conestoga.
We do have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, Susmita. And Jesslyn, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Jesslyn Wilkinson. I'm the Educational Technology Officer here at Conestoga. So my goal is to support people like Laura and Susmita as they get experimental in trying out new ed tech. And my role in this little project was just to help them decide on a tool that might suit their purpose efficiently and to support them through their journey through adapting to that tool. So those of you on the ETC may already know me. If not, I hope to meet many of the other participants at some point in time over the next couple of years.
All right.
That's me and my son, Isaac. Yeah.
Oh, Isaac.
He's my favorite.
Also, feel free to ask questions as we go along, folks, and of any of the three of us, because this really was a group project. So what we would like to do by the end of this hour is to be able to, as a group, to identify the value of incorporating student experience into professional learning. We'd like to be able to compare professional development modalities, particularly what we've been using at the college, but then we would also like to open it up and suggest new technologies which could be leveraged for just-in-time professional development delivery, and we can share with each other what some of our options are. So our challenge, and the reason why we're here and have this way to show you, is the challenge of revealing student experiences. The thing that Susmita and I brought together when we started working together was that I was working with new faculty. Susmita was experiencing life as a student, but also in touch with with all of the other international students at this campus. So we started by asking, what do international students wish that faculty knew about student experience? And how could we, the next question is, how can we find that out? In order to, the third question, share that insight to faculty in order to inform faculty practice, which will in turn be of assistance to international students. So we started with a question that we're going to ask you right now, and so I'll open up and see what happens. How might international students describe the experience of coming to Canada? If you would be so kind to go back to your Mentimeter, and that's going to be the next question.
Yay, it worked. I did that one right.
International student used to describe the transition to Canada. So you go to menti.com, 27, 79, 27. Yes. Like the food?
Yeah, bland. Susmita, is that one the right call? Is bland a word that comes to mind?
Bland?
Yeah, but we are feeling difficulty because we are habituated of having spicy food. I was thinking only last month that it had just greens and salt. Just sprinkle over it. So there is
Bring
just,
salt with you whenever you go out to
yeah.
eat. Yeah. So we've also got nervous.
That these words are like some of the examples that you've come across, that this is some of the descriptors that students would use?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
they
right.
sound fair enough.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Thank you very much, you guys. Let's move on. And what I would like to do before we start talking about our process is to also talk a little bit about some of the theory behind why we thought this was a good idea and why I thought it might be helpful for us to bring student experience and faculty development together. A model I really appreciate is, originally it's by Robert Keegan, but it's been adapted by Eleanor Drago-Severson. It's about how adults make meaning developmentally, but she has applied it to teaching and to teachers. The idea is that you're going to have, when you're involved in professional development, you're going to be working with faculty who are at many different stages in their own development. So that instrumental stage is really a lot about, I want it right. Just tell me the right thing to do and I will do it. So it's really focused on finding the rules. The next stage, once you're more comfortable, and that's a normal phase when you're new to an institution, right? How do you do things here? I don't want to go off and be doing the wrong thing. But the next phase is to start to identify who are the people that I respect, and is my practice matching the practice or the suggestions of professionals who I respect. Eventually, as I gain experience, hopefully I will develop my own self-criteria, inner criteria. So that's self-authoring phase. And if you keep growing and keep developing, eventually your meaning making will expand so that you have your own inner criteria, but you hold them lightly. And you're willing to share those criteria and to continue to learn from others. So that's a background model that we have in mind in terms of realizing that just-in-time development needs to be responsive to a different faculty at different phases of their journey.
Laura, just a quick tip that Susmita, if you wouldn't mind, when you are talking, just lean in and speak really clearly to the mic. If you're too far back, it won't be audible to the audience.
And I think I heard it ding. Does someone have a question or a comment?
That was the question. I put my hand up.
Okay, thank you. So we'll just have you a little bit closer to the microphone. Okay. So then, and I don't need to convince anybody in this webinar of the need for timely professional development. With our increasingly diverse student body, with the increasingly or the ongoing changes to the educational landscape with respect to technology, but also just with respect to how teaching and learning happens. The changes are so rapid that we are going to need to continue to provide timely professional development for our faculty, both new faculty and experienced faculty. The last point that I'd like to make with respect to sort of background theory is just the importance of the student perspective in faculty growth. As a teacher develops competence and confidence, hopefully the focus goes from what am I doing and am I doing it right to are my students learning and how can I help them learn better? And the only way to do that well is to talk to your students, to be in contact with your students, to learn from your students. So as Linda Hodges says, the only way we know what motivates students, what they think or feel, is to talk with them. And so this is where we're bringing some of these aspects together in this project. We're going to talk about the process after we talk about the tool, because one of the things that Susmita and I started to talk about as soon as we started to brainstorm is, all these great ideas, but what are we going to do with them? We want to provide the faculty with all these advice and suggestions based on what the students tell us, but how are we going to tell them? So we needed an app, or a good app. So can we do another poll? And we'd like to find out from you, how do you find out about new apps to use in teaching? And then we'll show you we'll talk to you about how we did it. So I'm going to click and see what comes up here.
Hopefully I got it right. Yay!
What tools
I'm
to bring
2 for 3 so far.
All right, we're doing fine. So if you go back to com, And the code this time is 659751. 659751. Oh, here we go. Recommendations from colleagues, social networks, a curated list from institution. Okay, we're getting all over the, an other. Maybe somebody can type the other into the chat feature and we can see what the other is.
Yeah, if there's something that we haven't considered here, definitely tell us. We're looking for options and avenues that seem to work. But it does seem that word of mouth or recommendations from colleagues tends to be a popular way for people to find out about new apps to try, particularly in a teaching context, right? That what we do is pretty specific. There's a lot of apps out there competing for our attention, and how do you sift through the ones that are good, the ones that are leverageable? So we look to colleagues, we look to social networks, which are really just colleagues online, and we look for a curated list from our institution. Sorry, I'm like leaning in to try and like read the tiny print on my screen. Sometimes a curated list from our institution is really helpful as well. And then one of the others is positive past experiences with tech. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Laura, did you want to add?
Sorry?
Did you want to add? I think I interrupted you.
No, I just wanted to say it's very practical to look at the curated list, because then you know what the institution is willing to and able to support you with. So it's very natural to go there as well. All right, so to tell you the truth, we went with a recommendation from our colleague, Jesslyn. As we said, we were looking for a mixed medium for text, videos, and interactive elements, and we wanted it to be accessible to both faculty and students. It had to be easy to use because I'm not exactly a tech genius. We wanted it to be mobile friendly and easy to share. And Jesslyn, over to you to talk a little bit about the limitations.
So, so we were limited by quite a few features. So when Laura and Susmita first came to me, they were so gung-ho and they were just honestly willing to try anything. And I think they came to me because in our area, I tend to be that colleague who knows by word of mouth what apps are kind of out there. But in this circumstance, I really wanted to recommend to them to build their own blog, or I wish I could have handed them over a website. But in our context, we were a little bit limited in the sense that this was in the middle of the school year. And so there was a really short window for training and support, and I didn't want Susmita and Laura to feel like they had to go through an ordeal to just get up and running with their project. I also knew that we had some constraints on our control of web content production. Teaching and Learning Conestoga does have a website or web presence. But that web presence occurs through our corporate website presence. So there are conventions about how we proceed with publishing content on that. And we also here at Conestoga have a strong preference, just a strong natural preference for direct to inbox communication. So I wanted something that would really hit those for them, be fast and easy to learn, and have a preference for direct to inbox communication, something that wasn't necessarily a blog that would take them a little bit of time to get up and running with. And one app that had been recommended to me by other colleagues here at Conestoga, other teaching colleagues, which is my go-to, is actually one that is part of our Office 365 parcel of apps. So it was Office 365 Sway, and I thought to myself, you know, it looks like a blog, it feels like a blog, and when we launch into our email, it's right there. It's something that I know students have access to. It's something that I know faculty and support staff and administrators all have access to, so why not start there? And so this is actually our email launch pad that Laura is showing you right now, and you see that when you tap into Sway, that some of the default templates that Sway suggests are actually types of blogs. Laura, if you can just scroll up a little bit. We're showing your examples, which is fantastic. And we'll show those again in a minute. But so there's some pre-built templates here that were nice and easy to get started with. So there's a blog enhance, there's a DIY project, there's a newsletter, there's actually more templates. And if you look at these, you know, there's just a whole bunch of pre-built objects that you can just start inserting your own content to. And a couple of them are blog templates or blog formats. And so because this is, Sway is basically a PowerPoint alternative. It's just another method of presentation. It's also really similar to Prezi, except without those dizzying turns. But because this is web content and not physical documents, it's actually far more accessible and flexible than, say, a Word document, which might be how we've sent out communications like this in the past. So to me, it seemed like the tool was a good fit for what Laura and Susmita were hoping to accomplish with it. The other thing that I really liked about Sway is, Laura, if you don't mind scrolling down now, and I apologize for those viewers at home, this may be a little bit small in terms of text, but what we have never had on our teaching tips before is analytics. So when we send out a teaching tip, even if it was web content, up until now, we've never been able to go back to our content and say, well, how many people read it? How much of it did they read? How long did they spend on it? Which videos did they click? Which ones did they not click? And Laura, if you don't mind just circling your mouse around the analytics area, now when we send out a Sway, we actually do know how many of the faculty that we sent it to viewed it. We know how much time they spent reading it. We know how much, what proportion of them actually got to the end of the Sway. It kind of measures it in glances, quick reads, and deep reads. And the deep reads are what we're hoping for, but we're okay with anything else too. People take what they need away from these teaching tips. So Sway, moving to a web content presentation for Laura and Susmita, really gave them, a medium that worked for their tools. They were using videos and images a lot. And it gave us as a group some more interesting information about how our users were using our content. That's it in a nutshell, Laura. If you want to take it away, get into that process of how things went.
Okay, does anybody have questions for Jesslyn at this point?
Ooh, may I add in here while people are kind of thinking about their questions and chatting them into the chat window? I don't want to create the perception that Sway is only an Office 365 product. It's not. Sway.com has Sway. You can try out a Sway if you want today. It may ask for a Microsoft email. You can take any email account and turn it into a Microsoft email account just by registering it. You can get up and running with Sway today if you wanted to. You do not have to have Office 365.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like people are just tuning in, Laura, so feel free to keep talking about how you and Susmita did the beautiful things that you did. And just remember, lean into the microphone and speak nice and loud and clear.
Okay, so it's Susmita's turn, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the process. Go ahead.
So it was very interesting when Laura informed me that what we are going to do next for recording videos and making stuff for the professors. So I'm going to tell you the actual steps that we took to make this Sway. So first step was brainstorming on ideas. We brainstorm on various ideas regarding how to start the work and what would be the appropriate for the task. Then we decided to ask questions students on the various issues, on the various academic issues or problems they're facing at present or they faced when they started their class last fall. So then we decided, okay, we are going to ask students that what kind of actual problem they are facing in their studies. So after talking a while on this and brainstorming, we decided to frame a survey questionnaire. So I decided to interview students, and for that, we both, me and Laura, we framed a survey questionnaire for interviewing students. So I'm going to tell you one sample questions that what kind of question, what type of academic problems they are facing. So I interviewed almost 30 to 40 students. So they were from various programs and from various states of India. So they informed what kind of problem they're facing. Many students, they informed that there are they are facing some technological problem. Some student informed that they are having problem with assignments, and some informed that they are having some language barrier. There were many answers from the students. So after compiling the whole data from the survey, I compiled in a document and shared with Laura. And then we decided that what we are going to do next. We have the result of the survey. So I compiled it, and then we decided both to create a storyboard upon the result. So we created a list of topics when we got the result that, okay, we are fine now. We understood that what is the actual problem the students are facing here. So we created a list of topics on which we wish to work further. So some of the topic that we decided to work on, that was the technology, listening comprehension, exam format. There were, I think, 5 or 6 topics was there. So we decided to make videos that how to convey our message, how to talk, how to express ourselves. So then we decided to write a script on it. We both brainstormed on how to write scripts, and then we turned Laura's office into a video recording studio. It was great fun. We used to brainstorm a bit like what we are going to describe today, what we are going to put, how we are going to express, and I can remember we used to brainstorm on practical issues like giving some example so that the professors and instructor can easily understand. So then when we decided, okay, we're fine with the video, we are going to make videos for professors, then we decided then what would be the best medium to reach. And then me and Laura, we decided to talk with Jesslyn, and she came up with a brilliant idea of using Sway. And then we started recording, and it took, I think, many days, I think few months we worked on this project. And the great thing is, after completing the previous way that we made for instructor, I suggested Laura that now we have finished with the professor's way, then we can also make something like this for students, because it should be a two-way. Now the professors knows about what kind of problem the students are facing, so we make these for instructor, but the students should know also. There are many aspects that they should know. So then we decided, and we started working on it, and a couple of professors, they showed interest of our video recording. We already have recorded videos of two, and we are going to record tomorrow one. So I observed that many professors, they are also interesting. They are also interested to express their views, that, and especially some tips for students. It was great It was a great experience when I was working with two instructors in Laura's room. We were recording videos, tips for students. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience of working on this kind of project. And the video is, we can the best thing that I think regarding these videos are, in this fall, and new students are coming from India. I think more than 500 students will be joining Brantford campus. So we can show them these things, that what are the things they should keep in mind. There are many important tips they should know. So I think it's going to be a very tremendously beneficial for students. We can use it for every fall or for every intake.
Mm-hmm.
It will be a great teaching tool.
Thank you. One last piece that we also added to the to our especially the second sway was we did really short interviews of students, and they have little clips of them saying hello, how are you, in their language, and talking about the special things in their state. And we'll show you that in a little while if we get a chance. So we also got a chance to hear some of the other students' voices as well. Does
Why
anybody
don't
have
you show those sways? Show the sways. If people have questions, they can kind of just pop into the chat and offer those questions, and I will volunteer those questions to Susmita and Laura. Yeah, show them some of the examples of the sways that you put together. So you put together one sway, one kind of like info packet for faculty from like the teaching lens, like how to support international students in our teaching. I see you have it up right now, listening comprehension for international students. And then the second one that Susmita put together is focusing on student experiences, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the first one was really because one of the big things that came up when we were talking to them, to students, or when Susmita was interviewing them, was listening comprehension and just feeling overwhelmed. And so that was the whole theme of the first sway. And then the second sway talked about some of the other aspects. And the second sway is where we really did manage to get more of the other students' voices involved.
Yeah. Can you
so
show?
Let me just
scroll down and take a look at the sway and show some of the content that you were able to provide, or some of the ways that you provided content to your audiences.
Feel free to ask questions as we go as well. So we started both sways with introducing ourselves, and we had some fun with putting some pictures into. You can put it into a stackable, so people could just look and see a little bit about India. There's more pictures. So we're also trying to give the faculty a little bit of information about India. We are eventually going to we actually have redone this video. We'll change it because this was when we were still experimenting, so it's a little bit dark. But
it's all beautiful. Do not, yeah, it's all beautiful, honestly. Gina says she thinks it has a nice interface. Gina, it really does. It's nice and smooth and clean. And Laura, Susmita, when you started working with Sway, what was your experience like? Did you feel like it was a challenge? How long do you feel like it took you to get up and running with it? What insight would you offer about the experience of learning how to use the tool?
The tool itself, if you want to use it really, really basically, you can be up and running in half a day, and it's easy. If you want it to look fantastic, that takes a bit longer. And honestly, the reason why ours looks so good is because Jesslyn helped us.
I didn't help you with this one that we're looking at right now. I only put in the stack to show you that it was possible. You guys did everything else, or you all did everything else.
We did get a little bit of help with that one, but honestly, the very basics of how to do it, you can learn in half a day. And you can already be creating your own sway. And then you just have to, what I find with sways, you have to be willing to keep playing with it. And there are some tutorials that you can take to help make it easier. So we also found the
website and put it in the chat.
We also found some YouTube video that's just a fun video of a bunch of students who created a presentation probably for one of their classes about Indian English. So here's where, after talking a little bit about India, about the culture, that's where we started with the tips. And so these tips are basically video after video with a little bit of an introduction. Most of them are me talking. A couple of them have both of us together. We try to keep them short, so they're anywhere from 3 to 7 minutes long, each one. The nice thing with this one is that professors can, I'll keep going. Professors can scroll down and choose which ones they want to listen to, one or all of them. I got my biggest compliments besides, okay, let me tell the truth. The biggest compliment I got was they loved the input from Susmita. But my second biggest compliment for this way was the one on teaching intonation. Faculty found that one helpful. So then this is the second sway. Is there a question?
Yeah, Tanya asks, what other kinds of feedback, so you mentioned one, but what other kinds of feedback have you received from faculty in viewing the videos?
We've had people saying it was some of it. I had more professors saying thank you for putting it up. It was a great reminder of things. The biggest feedback is they appreciated the student input. Honestly, as well as individual compliments about various of the videos. I didn't get any negative feedback, honestly. People may have just been being nice to me, but the people who actually went in and went in and had a look at it, basically said thank you, and it was useful.
How many faculty did you send that out to, Laura?
It would have been sent out to, actually, okay, the first time we sent it out, it was to the Brantford faculty, so that would have been about 100 faculty. But then what?
Faculty watched your entire sway, eh? Like we had in the analytics, we saw that 53 people went in and read it, and of those, about half read the thing in its entirety and watched all the videos. So you're right, like some people just popped in and took what they needed, but about half the faculty went in and took away something valuable from this. And Tanya said she's glad that student input was recognized.
Yes. I wanted to say, Jesslyn, the other piece was that in January, it got sent out as an email as an attachment to all faculty. So interesting, in terms of how many people have had access to it, we haven't had that many people watch it. If it was just Brantford faculty, the numbers would be great. But in fact, the link got sent out to everybody.
Yeah.
So this one, what we're going to do is we're going to send it out next fall as well. Because what happened was this was done after faculty had sort of gotten acclimatized to the new faculty, to their teaching setting. I think we would have had more uptake had we put it out there earlier in the semester.
Yeah. I have another faculty at Confederation who's asking about the benefits over and above using PowerPoint. Do you want to take it, or would you like me to field that question?
Well, I will just say PowerPoint would have been of no use to us for the, PowerPoint would be great for this type of setting, but in terms of wanting to set people loose and letting them progress through the presentation, I found Sway much more flexible than PowerPoint. And yes, Jesslyn, I would love to hear your response.
Yeah, I would say that as soon as you kind of look at this type of content, when it's web content like this, it feels more in alignment with the 21st century learning experience, right? It feels like reading on the web. However, there are some functional advantages to Sway over and above PowerPoint. So Sway is a web content, right? And as soon as something is web content, it is inherently and beautifully more accessible than something like a PowerPoint. When we run a PowerPoint, we have to do the accessibility checker, and then we still might not have made something that feels beautiful to a person who uses a screen reader. However, I tested Sway with our accessibility services. We have a blind person on staff in our accessibility services, and she and I got together and we went through the learner's experience of using Sway. And one of the first options that she comes across is the ability to put it on into accessibility mode, and she said it feels like reading something very clean. So functionally, just the accessibility of this type of content is far more beautiful. The other advantage to having it live as web content is that you get to build more interactive elements. We saw the stacks of files, the way that we can embed content and present content in more flexible ways. And then this is shareable. So if you leverage social media as part of your professional learning network, this is something that you could say post on Twitter. This is something that you could say post on a Facebook group and say, here's something that Laura shared with me about international students. I'm part of this Facebook group where college educators just talk about ideas. Maybe I'll post it there. It's not editable by everyone, but it is shareable and viewable by anyone who has the link. So functionally, that's a huge advantage over something like PowerPoint. Additionally, those analytics, we'll continue to get analytics on anyone who views this content. So much like you would on a website or a blog post, you're getting real valuable information about the ways people interact with your content that helps inform the ways that you create new content. And this is, Gina says it in the chat, and thank you for pointing it out, Gina, that often when we think about creating content for faculty, we think first in terms of like a laptop or a desktop. Yet we know that a lot of people actually access this type of content, this kind of self-serve stuff on any one of a variety of devices. And Sway is what we would call a responsive design, right? It will look beautiful no matter what kind of device you're on. So there's that's another functional improvement. So it is intended to work with PowerPoint. You can take a PowerPoint and you can actually pull it up into Sway. So it's not like you have to reinvent the wheel if you were looking to transition some of your course content into Sway. But there are some other advantages as well. Let me go back and look at the comments.
I just want to mention one thing. The reason why I stopped on this one is this is, speaking of feedback from faculty, this particular video got a lot of positive feedback. It's me interviewing Susmita, and Susmita just talking about student challenges. So I think this was an opportunity for faculty to get that sort of vicariously sit down and ask a student, what are some of the challenges that you're facing, and hearing it right from an international student.
Yeah, I think the way you guys leveraged video was just really cool. You just got brave and you took, the camera that you had and you just took video of yourselves talking about teaching or talking about learning and talking about the student experience. Like, I think you just got in there and you got it done, which I admire so much.
It was truly just in time. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that was a little bit about the process. We've seen the products now. So we wanted to compare modalities, and so what we've done here is just brought together a partial list of some of the other kinds of professional development opportunities that are available at Conestoga, to just compare to see how Sway is complementing, or how our Sways are complementing what we're already doing. So of course we have in-person workshops available, and if you click on that link, it takes you to the list of orientation workshops, and we've got an intercultural teaching certificate. We've got technology workshops that Jesslyn runs, and so there's a large complement of in-person workshops, many of which are aimed at new teachers, but not exclusively. Certainly, anyone can benefit from the intercultural teaching certificate or from the technology workshops. The other thing that this department has done for a number of years now is to create really just-in-time teaching tips. So we hear what faculty are struggling with, and someone from the department, it's certainly been Catherine Brillinger doing it for up until now, and now that the department is expanding, there are more of us involved. But creating really robust teaching tips that are sent out by email, so that faculty will have access to them. But then what Jesslyn then has been following up with is finding a home for them on the website. So I don't have to remember where I stored that teaching tip. If I've got a question, I can go to the faculty, the teaching and learning website, and you can see that we've got a number of consultation areas. You can consult with individual teaching and learning consultants, or you can click and you will find teaching tips. Most of these are actually links to teaching tips that have been written by our department, but Jesslyn has also included links to other sources that give good information for teachers, so teachers can access them when they need them, when it's relevant to them.
If I can just add to that, Laura, if you don't mind flipping back to the teaching and learning site. So this is our position on our corporate website, and I think it's beautiful. Our web services team has done a fantastic job of designing it for us. We only control the text below that expandable object. So for us, when Laura started creating these teaching tips, I looked at it and I said, oh, cool, I can put that on our website if all I can do is link to it. And so Laura will do a direct email out to the faculty who are relevant for the tip, and then she'll also send it to me, and then I post it on the website. I imagine there might be a time very soon where we do the inverse. She sends the link to me, I post it on the website, and the website link is the one that we send out. But just by creating web content, I'm able to put a link on here that sends our faculty into some just-in-time PD that might be really relevant and accessible for them. And I don't know that they would love the experience as much if I sent them into something more static.
Yeah, and I do think that's one of the big advantages of this is that it has that sense of this. It's timely, and it's based on feedback on the ground. One last thing I want to show you in terms of comparing modalities. We also had instructional videos, and Jesslyn had an awful lot to do with this. So we've got a website where we store them, and so they're
Locate the on button on the
sorry, I'll turn that off.
But
There we go. So everything from how to use a PC to polling apps, how to use video. Our Sway videos are up here, but you can see that and we're actually starting to put our faculty videos there for the Sway that we're creating for students. So we've got those as well. Jesslyn, did you want to speak to those?
yeah, we're just trying to develop a more wholesome kind of like multi-access self-serve PD presence. You know, if you want to come to our website, come to our website. If you want to go to our YouTube channel, go there. If you want to go to our Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, go there. Good PD should just be flexible and varied. It does take some, it is a challenge to manage that many kind of social media presences and that much content, but we're just trying to put the information wherever people might go to access it. So whether that's in their inbox, whether that's, you know, they're going to Google us and come across our website, whether they're going to Google us and come across our YouTube channel, whatever that looks like, we just want to put the information there. And by when Laura and Susmita created these videos, we just put them on our teaching and learning YouTube channel, and then they just embedded them into into their Sway. I didn't need to micromanage that at all for them. Laura, Susmita, you did need to get comfortable with YouTube Creator, right? Did that take a little while?
Susmita?
Yeah, bit.
Yeah. I put them up, and then Susmita did all the work in terms of closed captioning and preparing them.
Yeah, so that takes a little bit of time to get used to, but you know, that's part of the toolkit that we bring into the modern living experience, so it's worth it to go through that. But I didn't do a lot in this project. Like, I just said, hey Laura, there's Sway, do you want to try that? And you said yes, and you just kind of got in there and got gritty with it. And Susmita, you were fantastic. I think we got together once to do a video together. And other than that, it's just been Laura coming to me if and when she ever needed any help, and I didn't really provide much intervention. Most of these tools, the goal is to find things that are easy for people to get up and running with, and I felt like Sway seemed to show results for me in terms of Laura and Susmita felt like they could run with it.
Well, and that was what was lovely about this collaboration, is that we provided the legwork, but we always knew we had the support when we needed it.
Yeah, I'm always here for you, Laura.
I would like to take just the last few minutes to talk about where to go from here. But if we could start by another poll, if people are up to it, I'm going to click on what modalities are currently used at your institution. So click, see what comes up. Yeah, it's what modalities are leveraged in PD at your institution. So it's menti.com 659751.
Ooh, I kind of like these little globes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lots of documents and PowerPoints. Workshops are pretty reliable go-to. Direct email, videos, some websites floating around out there. Infographics and images are certainly gaining a lot of popularity and traction. What I'm kind of curious about is, you know, podcasts. I really like them. Does anybody else? Would that be a worthwhile investment of professional developers' time to make audio content that you could kind of listen to maybe on your drive home or while you're doing the dishes, things like that? Just use the chat window to offer any insider input that you might offer.
Yeah, it looks like nobody's done it yet. Would anybody consider it? Sarah
Wendorf says that they've been attempting some short videos that they like. Sarah, Laura's a good person to be in contact with. She and Susmita just got in there and did it. There wasn't a lot of post-production on the videos, just do a live shoot. But we do actually have a fantastic development team, video development team here at Conestoga too. So even when Laura decides she wants to put some more panache into those videos, we have a team that we can go to and say, hey, can you help us with this video production? Maybe we need an ETC podcast channel. Yes! I think that would be fantastic. We can host it on VoiceEd. I know for me, I'll listen to a podcast while I'm cleaning my house, and all of a sudden, I picked up a few cool new tricks, and then I've also got a clean house in the deal. So, Laura,
I was just going to say that's a great suggestion. Why don't we work together to create materials that are available for faculty?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just going down. So we've already talked about what tools you're using. How are you capturing student input, or how are you measuring student engagement? If you have any thoughts or suggestions or questions about that, because that's the other piece of this whole production, is finding a place for a student voice. Is that something you have been doing? Is it something you would like to do?
So I'm wondering if this might be a food for thought item for everyone. What should we try next? How could we better capture student input into these processes, and how do you measure that engagement with A, the content, and B, with the student voices? Yeah, sometimes those are good ideas or good takeaways to leave something like this from. Laura, would you be okay with me adding your email into the chat window so that if anyone would like to reach out to you?
Because the other piece that we're still want to get in there, and so we're still looking for continuing to develop what we do, is we really want the back and forth channel to be more user friendly, and that's one thing that Sway hasn't really done for us, is to give people watching the video, unless the feedback I've gotten so far were people who responded to my email, and so the things that or people who ran into me in the hallways and told me what they thought. It would be lovely to have, and this is where perhaps mixing a Sway with perhaps something like a blog would give faculty an opportunity for some back and forth dialogue in a way that's user friendly for them. And then, but then it's always up to them whether they're going to take the time.
Yeah, I wonder, like, what you're looking for too is just some ways to facilitate discussions beyond the Sway. And I wonder if maybe this is either an avenue for social media or an avenue for maybe a Padlet or something straightforward, maybe just where people can kind of share a thought, share an idea. The trick with this is that it almost has to be asynchronous. Because we don't know when or how people might come into this content. So it has to be something that kind of exists beyond the Sway. So maybe one of those free tools, or, you know, at some point in the future, maybe we look at taking all this beautiful content from the Sway and just pulling it over into a blog that might have a comment section that would facilitate that. Honestly, at this point, it's flexible. We can make it whatever you want it to be. It just depends on how much investment we want it to occupy. Laura, is it still in B-U-R-G or B-E-R-G?
It is. Yes, it is. I think the Sway ended up being a lovely way station. It provided us with the opportunity to do something really creative and really sort of responsive to what was going on and what the needs were at the time. I think it's going to be a stepping stone to how can we start to use all those creative tools, but then open it up to being more back and forth in terms of input and discussion. Yeah. That would be the next step I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think that that's the right place to be looking, and we'll find the tool that kind of suits that need. But you know, if we carried on with Sway for a while, it wouldn't hurt anything. You know.
And it's a good thing because we're still in the middle of creating a Sway to share with students.
Yeah, yeah. It'll turn out beautifully too, I'm sure. All the rest of them did. So, Laura, I'm sorry I got to pop out, but I will leave you to say your fond farewells to everyone. And thank everyone participating in this presentation.
And that's all I wanted to say as well. Thank you for joining us. And yes, please feel free to contact us if you've got ideas or questions. We've had a wonderful time doing this, and we're open to talking about how we did it and what the next steps might be.
Yay! See you, everyone.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us.